did not think this guy...
I have a hernia. I've had it for a while. And I've been ignoring it successfully. But this morning, I made the mistake of sneezing.
Would make me so goddamn emotional. But he did. So let's talk about episode 3 of The Last of Us. Starring Ron Swanson.
With that said, what did you think about episode 3?
Well, I will say that this episode really hit me in the feels. It's just, overall, it was a beautiful episode from start to finish. It really kind of just, you jump into the story with these characters and you just, you feel for them. Like, I literally felt like I was part of the story. I was watching, like, something just beautiful unfold. So, that's really all I can say without getting into spoilers, but I loved it. I thought it was one of the best things I've seen in a really long time. What are you thinking?
I feel the same way. I would say that this episode is a work of art.
Yeah, honestly.
All of the actors and actresses and the screenwriters and the directors, like, they all deserve awards for this episode.
It was really well written.
Like, I can only think of one other show that hit me in the feels this hard.
What was it?
*Halt and Catch Fire*. In the last season, there's an episode that is beautifully shot. And this episode reminded me of that episode. Yeah,
there's not a lot of shows that can kind of do that to you and kind of get you emotional and, teared up. But there are some, but I feel like this one did it really well.
Yeah, this episode wrecked me. I had to just go to bed afterwards and think about what I just watched.
All right. Well, with that being said, this is where we're going to kind of get into spoilers. So we'll have the beautiful banner that I made put up here. And then what we're going to do, because I've been told, again, I haven't played the game, so I don't know exactly, but I've been told that this really veers away from what the video game is. So you have the show itself and the story behind the show, and then you have the video game and what happens there. Yes, the end goal kind of they meet together, but the meat and bones in between are almost completely different.
Yeah. The end result at the end of the episode, them driving away in a vehicle, is the same. That's pretty much the only thing.
So literally, like, 3.5 minutes maybe of this episode is kind of gameplay almost.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all backstory that you kind of get hinted at in the game, and you get the idea that there is a relationship between Bill and Frank, but it's like, if there was a relationship, it's like long deteriorated in the game by the time that you actually meet them. So,
alright, so we're going to get into the show first, then video game. So, kind of start us off with the beginning of the episode, what you liked and kind of how it rolls out a little bit.
Well, we started off with Joel and Ellie just walking, right? And he's making his way to a gas station where he had some secret stash.
Yes.
So we see them interacting a bit. I will say the arcade section where she goes up and plays Mortal Kombat.
Right? Yeah.
It's not Mortal Kombat in the game, I'm assuming for copyright reasons, but it's pretty much the same scene.
Hey, any show that has Mortal Kombat in it, I mean, I'm not mad at it whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah, so you get to see them kind of build a connection more, which is great to see.
Yeah, that is true. There's one issue, I guess not issue, but one thing that kind of bugged me is I hate when you have kids in TV shows or scary movies and they're just like, oh, hey, there's a hatch here. All right, let's jump down. There's nothing scary down here where I can't see. And luckily, there's an infected, but it's stuck under rocks, and she could just easily stab it, which I thought it was kind of weird, but it was also maybe a character building moment where she went up to it and she kind of almost just looks at it and like cuts it a little bit and just sees, like, thinking to herself, like, are you still human almost? Like, do you have feelings? Are you going to feel this pain, or are you just going to want to kill me because I'm not you kind of thing? So it built character, but I just don't jump in dark holes and underneath just don't do it.
Well, I guess it's also trying to show that she is a bit fearless after everything she's gone through, and she's growing.
Yeah, I mean, because that's true. I did like the line where they were like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Well, I didn't shit my pants last episode." So
yeah, with the clickers.
Yeah, so I mean, it seems she's gonna get stronger, and she's not gonna be like just that little kid damsel in distress. Which, thank God, because I don't know. I don't like those characters. I like really strong, powerful female characters. So that's what I think we're getting.
Yeah.
There is one scene that I really I just enjoyed, and I guess not enjoyed, but it just helps build kind of character and shows Joel kind of cares about Ellie, even though he doesn't really show it or say it. When they're walking to the path to get to Bill's, there's a whole line, a road of like dead people, skeletons, stuff like that we'll get into a little bit later, but there's just a bunch of dead people and skeletons hanging out there on that road, and he wants to walk around it because he doesn't want Ellie to see all of these dead people and ask why and ask what happened. But Ellie being Ellie, she's like, whatever, let's just go down the road, I can handle it, I don't care. So they go down there, she sees it, and that's kind of, I think at least for me, is a cool way to show that Joel cares and kind of wants to protect her, but really isn't going out of his way to be like, hey, I want to make sure you're okay, like I care about you, at least a little bit.
Yeah, I get where they're going with it, but in that scene, it felt kind of like stiff or cold to me. Like, I don't know if it's just the actors aren't, I don't know, like the on-screen chemistry between Joel and Ellie, for me at this point, don't match what the game provided.
I think maybe that's one thing too that you can, like, I guess playing the game, you already are built into these characters. Like these characters, you like
that's
you
true.
You have like what they do, how they act, and all that. So if it's not on par with what the show is, because really I think the show is just it's slowly building those relationships in that character. I think that's I feel like they have to kind of slow play it. They can't just go straight out into it because it's got to be character building moments.
I guess what you're saying is a good point. I've already fallen in love with Joel and Ellie from the game.
Yeah.
And how they interacted in the game, and there's just different nuances because it's actual actors trying to act out what the game gave us.
Yeah, it's not a guy behind a keyboard making like facial expressions for Joel and Ellie and stuff like that.
Well, I think they had the masks and they were real people.
Oh yeah. That
yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
I know.
We'll have to look at that. We'll shut off the camera. We'll go look. We'll come back.
Yeah.
All right, we're back. We looked. We didn't. I'm just kidding. Either way, we get to Bill's compound, and that's where it kind of jumps back to a little bit. And really, this whole story is about Bill and Frank for the most part. I would say 85-90%. It's just these two characters.
Well, they see it zooms out to the skeletons, and you see a cute little blanket, and then it jumps back to 2003 when everything started. And right before that, Joel says that there was basically firing squads for people that didn't fit in the camps, and that's what this grave is, which is terrible. And then you find out that one of them was a baby, which is like, oh my God, that was heartbreaking already. Yeah,
they literally went into that whole entire neighborhood and were like, hey, we're going to take you to safety. We got a camp. Let's go. Everybody get on a bus. And then they didn't tell them that if they didn't fit in there, then you're basically they're going to kill you off, which is insane. Like, that's horrifying to think of. So that's why when you get into this...
It's like the Nazis.
Honestly, I mean, hey, that's what he calls them.
Yeah.
But... you get into this neighborhood and it's kind of fenced off, closed off, there's traps and stuff like that set everywhere because Bill is again a survivalist, a smart guy. He just kind of prepares for all of this, and Frank gets stuck in one of the traps. I think it's like he falls down in like a little like dugout, whatever, like a square, whatever that he's got him stuck in, and he finds him and basically slowly gets into his compound with Bill.
So yeah, and then Frank comes in and he gets Bill to let him come in and have a dinner, and a shower, and he gets some fresh clothes, and he makes rabbit with a wine that pairs with rabbit.
And Bill really had it made. Like he had hot water, electricity, like 4,000 guns.
He was prepared.
Yeah, it's kind of insane.
Yeah, and so. Right when they're about to part ways, Frank notices that he has an old piano, and they start playing it, and Frank plays it and sings terribly, and it you could tell it's like bothering Bill, so he sits down and does it like beautifully. And from there on, man, the waterworks just kick on the whole episode. Like it's such a beautiful relationship that these two actors really sell you.
Yeah, and it really was out of left field because even I watched which I try not to, but I watched the on the next episode kind of thing, and it showed more of like the invaders that get there later in the episode, and then it showed like fire and stuff, and it showed Bill like with a gun shooting at him, but that was it. And they kind of cut in Joel randomly, so it looked like, oh, they were helping each other out or they were fighting together. And this is not that. It's literally just a love story that they both really just, again, you get into the story, you get into the characters.
Yeah, in a time where there is a global pandemic and pretty much like doomsday.
Yeah.
These two people find each other and find like true love in that moment, and they get to live out their days.
Yeah, with each other.
With their partner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do like the line too. He said, I didn't think there was anything on this world for me, but I found one person and I saved that one person, and he saved me like at the end. Yeah, and I mean that makes sense, honestly. So then after all of that, we do a bunch of different random jumps, 3 years, 6 years, 10 years, just basically getting you up to 2023. So we first, jump to Frank wanting to fix everything up because he kind of mentions, if I'm living here, then I want to live how I want to live, which again, that kind of, goes into the end of the episode and what he says to Frank to Bill at the end. So you kind of get that, and it slowly starts to build this relationship even more. So then you can learn that Frank has been talking to somebody on the radio, female, which I feel like we all kind of knew where they were going with that, but it's Tess. And then again they cut to Tess and Joel meeting Frank and Bill. They're having like this nice little dinner. It's weird. You're watching this and it just seems like it's a regular episode of a regular TV show. You're not thinking that there's this huge apocalypse around them. They're literally just like, sipping tea, drinking wine, eating food in their front yard at a table, which I thought was kind of ironic, really.
Yeah, it was a really good shot.
Yeah, it's like there's chaos all around them, but in that moment, it's just like, let's just enjoy each other's company. That's all we care about.
Yeah, they're trying to really enjoy the things in life that they do have that aren't falling apart yet.
Yeah, true. And then after that, we jump to Frank, surprising Bill with strawberries. He got those seeds from Tess. He traded them a gun. Bill kind of freaks out, but then Frank, kind of whispers to him, like, don't worry, it's a small gun. Like, I didn't give them a big gun. Don't worry, we're okay.
Yeah, he's concerned about which gun he
Yeah. So, and even this scene, too, you have them eating strawberries and, like, just a strawberry. I mean, you can go to a grocery store right now and get a strawberry, no questions asked. They're like $5 or whatever for a carton. But in this scenario, you're eating a strawberry. Maybe you haven't had it for 5, 6, 10 years or whatever. And that little, like, they just burst out in tears because just something small that they can enjoy is really cool.
Yeah, and it's something that they shared together, that they shared that moment together. And you could see in that scene they get even closer and closer, and it's just like beautiful how in love these two people are. Yeah, and then they try and like make love, and he's like, "Oh, not on the strawberries." So it kind of brought back some comedy to the scene for us. And breaking up all the sadness.
And literally right after that, we cut to invaders, which Joel did mention. He said, "I'm gonna let you know." Maybe it might not be infected, but it's going to be people that are going to come because they're going to want to raid and take your stuff. And, he kind of just says, okay.
Yeah, he's like, we'll be fine.
Yeah, like, I don't worry, I got this. Then we cut to invaders. The invaders come in, and this is just awesome because they kind of slowly get up to it, and you just have kerosene bombs shooting off at them.
Well, they kind of make it seem like he won't be prepared because he just had this lovely romantic moment with his partner, and they go to bed quietly, And
Yeah.
then you wake up, well, you kind of see them creeping up on it, right? And
Yeah, that is
You
true,
don't
yeah.
think that they're ready for it.
Yeah, like you
But
think they're just gonna be
Bill
able to
is-
scale the fence or whatever.
Yeah, but Bill is up and ready.
Yeah, that is
He's out
true.
there already.
Yeah, Frank like kind of hears the kerosene bombs or the fire bombs going off, and that's really what wakes him up. And he grabs his little handgun, looks for Bill, goes out, and Bill, and I've heard a little bit of grief for this. Bill is literally just in the middle of the street with no cover whatsoever, just firing shots at these people.
Yeah,
So
it was kind of strange.
yeah, I mean, maybe he's that cocky, but he shouldn't be, because in this gunfire, even though they're getting burnt to death for the most part, he does get shot. He gets brought inside and kind of basically passes out from the gun wound.
Yeah, and he says, leave the gas on so that the flames don't go out, and they keep burning anybody that comes close. And also, you realize that the fence is electrified, so it's like the fence will kill the rest.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I like that little, like, don't worry, like, just as long as you keep it on, they're dead. Like, they're still not going to get in.
Yeah.
So this whole little town, or little, like, square he has is just stupid fortified.
So then we jump forward in time again, and we realize that Frank is actually sick now, and he's in a wheelchair. And you see this whole day play out where Bill is taking care of him, because he's the love of his life, and he's doing whatever needs to be done for them to be happy. And it's beautiful to just watch him care for Frank.
Yeah.
And then you see him get him into bed and go to sleep for the night. And then you wake up, and Frank all night got himself in the wheelchair.
I will say this, I don't know how Bill didn't wake up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was I was just like, if he's crawling out of that bed and all that, then I feel like Bill would have to wake up, and maybe he's just a heavy sleeper, I don't know.
He must be a heavy sleeper, because I feel like he had to make some noise getting in that wheelchair.
Yeah.
Especially if it took him all night.
Yeah, he had to move it around or do something.
Yeah.
But either way, he kind of comes to the decision, especially I feel like that was a big part in the decision, where he's thinking to himself, like, wow, this took me this much effort. I had to do it all night just to get in here. So obviously I'm a huge burden on him. So he just, makes the decision that today's his last day. And I think, again, like I said, he said he wants to live how he wants to live. And then he in turn says, I want to die how I want to die. Like, I want to go out on my own terms.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a burden.
Yeah, he tells Frank, love me how I want you to love me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is beautiful.
Yeah.
This whole episode was so beautiful.
I agree. So he, he basically, they have a whole day planned, and, they go do certain things, and he tells Bill, just shut up, dress how I want you to dress. And they even end up getting married right before anything happens later in the night, too. So that was something special where, they're not just boyfriend and boyfriend, they're actually married, and their husband, they're a partnership. And so I thought that was something really awesome, too. Just kind of the cherry on top.
Yeah. Yeah, it was such a beautiful moment. Like, I cried. Like,
Yeah.
I cried, like, this whole episode.
Yeah.
But the end just, like, broke me.
Yeah, because that dinner scene and...
Yeah, so that's how it's going to end. He says, one last dinner, and then I want you to basically spike my wine with all of these drugs.
Yeah.
So that I go to sleep and I don't wake up. And we cut back to Joel and Ellie.
Yeah.
And they're just arriving.
Yeah, they're at the gate putting in the code and all that.
Yeah, and Joel pretty much notices right away that something's amiss because, the grass is overgrown because
it's
they
like all
stopped
weeds
cutting
and
it.
that. Yep.
He notices immediately that the flowers are dead because they haven't been getting watered. And then they get into the house, and Joel's about to break into the...
Yeah, like he's pushing at the door, and the locked door.
Yeah, and then the front door slams shut, and you think Ellie, took off, because I think in this scene she finds a gun and hides it in her bag. And I will say, my gripes with the beginning of the episode with Ellie and Joel, me feeling like they're not connecting, it was a total opposite at the end of the episode. And maybe it's because I was emotional from the episode.
Yeah.
But I felt like they did have a stronger bond by the end of the episode.
Well, especially, too, when they're listening to music and stuff like that in the car driving away, where he's like, yeah, I like this music. And she's like, well, I guess it's better than nothing.
Like, the beginning of them going to Bill's And then the end of them leaving Bill's with a vehicle is the only thing that's the same in the game. So in the game, you're on your way to where Bill's compound is, and you find out that Joel's never actually been to the compound. So that's a different departure.
Yeah.
So he gets...
Has he been talking to
Yeah,
them?
yeah.
Okay.
Tess and Joel, they worked with Bill.
Okay.
And I guess Bill would help smuggle stuff, and that was their relationship. And so they end up finding... Well, actually, they get caught in one of Bill's traps. And there's this huge struggle, and Ellie's trying to get Joel free, and it ends with Bill cutting off one of the infected's heads to save Joel, because he's about to get eaten. And so that's how you get introduced to Bill in the game. And then basically he just says, hey, you have some favors that I want to call in. I need a truck. I need to get out to Wyoming, which is where Tommy's at.
Yeah.
And so you go through this whole ordeal where you're getting back to Bill's house, and then you stock up, and then you head out. And he pretty much describes that there was a military truck that went through, and the infected overran them. So their plan is to get the battery from that truck.
Ah, okay.
Which
that definitely sounds like a video game kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like a nice objective that you have to get to kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and then you get to the truck and you find out there's no battery, and then you become overrun with infected. So you run to this safe house that he has, and this is when you find out about Frank. And so they're in this house and they're kind of arguing with each other because their plan's screwed. There's no battery. What are they going to do? Ellie walks off to the other room, and they turn around and they see a body hanging. And you find out that Frank hung himself. So they cut him down, and he mentions like, oh, he's got bite marks. And so Joel's like, yeah, I guess he wanted to take his life before he turned.
Yeah.
So then they find out that Frank's the one who got the battery, and he was trying to get away with the truck, but he got infected, so he hung himself. And then, so they go in and they get the truck and find out that there's a little bit of a charge, but not enough to start it. So they pop Ellie into the cabin and they push the truck out, and she's going to pop the clutch so they can start the truck up. And the alternator will charge it after that. And then, you know, there's a whole battle where they're pushing the truck and infected are running at him. You got to take out the infected and then keep pushing the truck, and it's kind of intense. And eventually the truck gets started, and basically Joel and Bill part ways.
All right, but with that being said, that was episode 3. That was the show, the video game, kind of the comparisons, but really the comparisons are literally 2 things. So there's not too much. But either way, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, leave comments down below. If you already played the video game, do you want to play the video game because you're watching the show and how awesome the show is? You know, let us know. Let us know. Maybe we forgot things again in this episode. You guys are going to let us know down below. Either way, do all those fun things. And we're going to be back in episode 4 next week. And we're ready to do a thumbs up?
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
We'll see you guys later. All right. Oh, wow. Only one?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll see you guys later.